This is the new MacBook, not Make the Pro, not Mac but Air, just the new MacBook, and it is insanely thin, so like literally too thin for normal batteries, too thin for any ports, too thin for a normal trackpad, even too thin for a back way for the Apple logo. At a closer look at this traditionally thin new laptop today, and these are my impressions, so right off the bat it's the thinnest and lightest laptop I've ever seen, weighs in at 2 pounds, which is actually a full pound later in a 13-inch MacBook Air, and yes, just 13mm near stand at its thickest point, which is again ridiculous. You pick it up and you wait around and it's kinda hard to believe there's an entire machine in there. Now you can go vs thin in a laptop, then making some sacrifices, and Apple has kinda tried to turn the sacrifices into features, at least for some from. So first of all, it's too thin for a normal rectangular battery cells, so they've used contrary battery cells, which are essentially stack sheets and battery to fill out the space. That makes sense. Next, it's too thin for the backlit Apple logo that you see in the rest Apple's laptops, so you get reflective one with no backlight that we already have on, you know, the iPhone, the iPad already, so have a bummer for some people, but that also makes sense. Now this netbook is also too thin for any sort of depth in the keyboard, so Apple keyboards, I mean, they didn't really have much travel to begin with, but this new Mac keyboard has a new double-sided key switch called butterfly switches, which are supposed to help with the typing experience and make Easter eggs feel more even when pressing on edge to the keys. I didn't notice much of a difference in my brief use, but that's something I have to use more. But you do a look at it, these are really thin keys with a very low travel to. This netbook is also too thin for ports. Seriously, it's rocking only a single USB-C port on one side, an audio jack on the other, so through this USB-C port you do both power and all your data, so charging, and if you wanna do both at the same time you'll have to use some sort of an adapter. In fact, you probably need multiple adapters. There's no way around this one. This is the biggest inconvenience to the new MacBook, and if you ever need a plug-in even so much as a mouse or flash card reader, let alone a display or anything bigger, it turns a simple elegant machine into like an octopus with adapters for arms. And the other thing this laptop is too thin for is a normal moving trackpad, so there's literally not enough room to have a track and I can mechanically click, so Apple has a large glass surface where the trackpad normally is, and then underneath it they have vibration motor kinda like the one you have in your phone, and it's a pressure sensitive surface, so when you press a bit harder on it, it clicks. Released, it feels like it does. It feels exactly like mechanical click from a normal Mac trackpad, and actually for me into thinking it was actually moving, but it's not at the turn of the effect. It's just like pressing down on a metal sheet, so we don't feel anything move, kinda like a magic trick. So with this pressure sensitivity you also get something called forced touch, so it's sort of like a third click action. Yeah, regular clicks, then right clicks, and then forced touch. So forced touch is sort of like a more info button you press down hard on like a piece of text to expanding at a dictionary definition, or you can force touch on an address to get an Apple Maps listing, etc. So you get the idea. He also use it to you fast forward through video in QuickTime. Sehar you press if asked the scrub, which is a neat little demo. You can press down and click multiple times even though it's clearly not moving. Overall, I was pretty impressed with how well the check had worked, and Apple's been doing track has really well for years now, so unique. Say it's a risky move for them to change it, but it's really impressive. Now the one thing's laptop was not too thin for Was pixels a packed a high-resolution display? No, this guy, and it looks really good, so good in fact that this guy thought it was a touch screen for some reason. Have a say it's a retina display, and it comes in at 2304 by 1440 pixels on a 12-inch pan. Out to deny resolution, but I can promise you it looks really sharp, really bright, very vivid. Colors were fantastic and viewing angles are great. It's an awesome display, and even need to spend more time with it to be able to tell you that. So all in all, this is clearly Apple's sexiest laptop ever, no doubt, but mostly because I've just how thin and light and of reportable it is. In fact, reminds me that whole ultrabook category. It's rockin' Intel Core and dual core processor. Clearly it is not a powerful machine at all. You don't expect to edit videos or photos on this thing. Don't expect any graphic design. It's really more of a glorified tablet connected to a keywords or to feel. That's really what the internals are. Actually a whole ton of battery, and then the Compare prides itself can fit in the palm of your hand. I'd spend less, so there are no moving parts, and it's silent, and of course with no upgradability, and starting price at $12.99. Cool like this. It's an awesome note-taking machine. You know, if the keyword holds up, students will like it. It's supposed to have an 8 to 10 hour battery life with the typical web browsing, and like I said, very lightweight tasks that is designed to do so. It's really just for every people looking to kick back and have a super thin laptop to do whatever, and I guess that's Apple's target demographic in a nutshell. There are plenty of other things, like a complaint about Lake. It's only a for